PC here. Hi, guys and gals. Well, what is today? Thursday lunch vlog. Yeah, it's kind of cold. Well, if you're a Canadian, I suppose it's not cold. If you're someplace in the States, it's probably not cold. But it's around freezing, so, it's kind of cold if you don't have gloves on for your fingers. That type of cold. So, just walking around. I was saying the other day, maybe we'll have a white Christmas. Well, it kind of depends where you're going to be, because if you look wherever there's a little bit of sun that comes through, you lose the snow. There's really not that much snow, just a little bit of a covering. As you probably noticed, it's pretty foggy. We've been having fog and freezing fog, actually, if you want to call it that way, for the last period. So yeah, it makes for slippery roads and slippery sidewalks. What can we chat about today? Well, I saw a couple articles which are kind of interesting because they kind of fit together in a way. One was relative to moms, so moms and changes in their brain. So people that have had children, pregnancies, and how their brain actually kind of changes in certain areas, which is kind of interesting because it has to do often with maybe certain memory areas, certain learning areas, and it kind of brings up that the body knows that moms are going to have certain tasks, and that it prepares their brain for it. Some of you have maybe seen this article. I mean, I'm really just paraphrasing it in a way, but they done some control studies, not on big numbers though, from what I can see. It was something done in Spain, but still, I mean, it kind of makes sense that a person's body would be prepared in that way. Why not? I mean, I'm not saying that it's an absolute, but why not? And put your belief system in it, if you will. I do a little bit, yes, but the biology there talks nicely. Yeah. Next thing was relative to brains, was an article talking about brain size, brain connections, and brain development depending on your age. Now, not, let's say, very old. I'm not talking about like Alzheimer-like brains where they're, I'm sorry to say, falling apart, or you know what I mean, but we could say functional, normal, healthy brains, and comparing, let's say, children with teenagers and adults or young adults. And it was interesting, of course, to see, I mean, as to be expected, certain, like what we would call the emotional sections of the brain were probably slightly more perturbed in the brains of teenagers, and not automatically always in the case of the children's brains. I mean, so it's like when the brains are changing, and certain areas, I mean, if children's brains are sometimes compared to adult brains, it just kind of fits, doesn't it? I mean, you meet sometimes a child and you say, or a person, you say, wow, they just seem so wise beyond their years. And at the same time, you will meet someone and say, I can't believe that person is an adult. Now, I'm not talking about acting silly and stuff like that, because if that's the case, then half of the people that I know from YouTube and Facebook, and myself included, they would say we've got child brains. Hey, that's great, isn't it? No, but I mean, they were bringing that up, to say is that, of course, we all know that there is I was going to say, nobody's brain changes when you become 18 or 21 or 16 or whatever. I mean, it's not like a transition that way, but still, I mean, like for very, let's say, highly emotional decisions, it just shows that there is a certain wisdom not to, go and put all those eggs in one basket. Now take for example, I don't know, maybe, oh well, why not talk about the elections? No, I don't want to talk about the elections. But I mean, that's the whole thing, isn't it? I mean, the fact of actually, putting like 18 as the adult age for voting, for example. Well, maybe a lot of people, depending on the age they are, I mean, on their emotional status, maybe their brain isn't completely finished to be developed. Does that bring the question of this, what we've talked about, or have I talked about that? I think emotional IQ and intellectual quotients and stuff like that, which often are basically a load of crap because it depends on the questions, it depends on exactly that, your emotional state at that moment, maybe your physical state at that moment. So, it just comes out to say that we're so much more complex than systems try to make us out to be. I mean, how often basically we're trying to be put into a box, and you can't put people in a box, can you? Oh well, that's about it. Christmas is coming up, yeah, and well, I'm gonna have to make a vlog at home one day, and I did show the tree off a little bit. We got some decorations, and I think, as I've said, it's a different Christmas a little bit this year because everybody's working almost. But, yeah, it'll be a good Christmas. It'll be time for a good break. Is that it? Yeah, that's it for today's lunch vlog. Did I have anything else to say? Certainly, but it's not coming to mind right now. Okay, everybody, take care, and hope that you have a good Thursday. Bye-bye.